What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And more importantly, one half of this dynamic duo that is Washington Football Weekly. That's my guy, Will Kramer. Will, what's up, man?
It's a great Wednesday. We got a winning streak going here, man. Can you believe this?
Let's go.
We're about to go into December, and we are 2 games over 500.
Yep.
That hasn't happened for us in years, man.
Right.
Years.
A long time, ladies and
I know.
gentlemen.
All we ask for is a December to remember.
Yep.
Boy, do we have one coming up here.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm going to tell you something. I feel a lot more positive about this December to remember. And I don't feel last year was a little naive. We were really going into it. We had that 4-game win streak, but we also had a lot of injuries. COVID killed us. And we were going into a divisional matchup with 2 teams that were pretty hot at that time. So that was different. Right now, 2 games against the Giants. We got games against a Browns team we don't know what they're about. We got games down the line that we can get the W. Woo!
Yeah, we're going to get tested a little bit here. We're going to get to see, are we a playoff team or have we just had some easy, David Wright, shout out to what he says, a weak schedule, so it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun set of games. I'm really excited for this December. Finally. Back-to-back years of meaningful, actually 3 years in a row under Ron Rivera of meaningful December games. That's about all we can ask for.
Exactly. That gets overlooked. But look, before we get into this, or we're going to talk about our games, I know you had somebody want to shout out real quick.
Yeah. I hate starting the show off on a somber note, but the world lost a really wonderful human being this morning. And more importantly, for the last couple of years, the teaching world has lost an amazing teacher. A good friend of mine, got sick a couple of years ago with some brain tumors, some cancer involved, and she passed away this morning. And I think, but obviously, she, what's happened in the last couple of years has been very tough. But what I thought was really cool is page, as everyone found out what happened this morning, you heard from her former students saying how much of an impact she made in their lives. So, obviously it's extremely difficult to have someone lose their life so early, but the impact that she had was very large. And so I hope the family is seeing those messages, get comforted, and we're certainly going to miss Liz. And we hope the family gets some comfort and peace these next couple of weeks. We know they're going to be really tough.
Yeah, man, definitely. Our prayers, thoughts and prayers are definitely with you and the family, and that's rough. Whew. Think about the memories. Definitely.
Absolutely. She was awesome.
Yeah. Oh man. So, speaking, think about the memories. Think about being thankful. How was your Thanksgiving, man?
We've had better. All 4 of us are on antibiotics in my house. The 2 little boys have RSV and ear infections. Trisha's had a nasty cough, and I finally succumbed to a sinus infection earlier this week. But medicine is working pretty well, so we're all in good spirits, and we're back at work, back at school. But we did a lot of laying around this for Thanksgiving. So we didn't move around a whole lot, which was restful too. So that was good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What about you?
The family's all good. Everybody's healthy and positive. My brother from New York went down to my parents' house, and then my other brother that just retired from the Marines and was living in Okinawa. He lived in Hawaii for a little bit. He's retired. Him and his family live in Florida, and they surprised my dad and came up the day Thanksgiving night and that weekend. So awesome. It was amazing. Everybody, got a chance to see everybody. And, he has 2 kids. So he met a woman in Okinawa, Japan. And so they got married. Then they had 2 kids. His oldest daughter is a senior. So she's about to go off to school. So we got to talk to her and see her. The youngest son, I believe, is in 9th grade now. And just, these guys were pipsqueaks. These guys were tiny
Yes.
when I went out to Hawaii a couple years ago to see them or whatever. And now they're so big, and it was just a good experience to see everybody to get together and whatnot. So
absolutely,
always pleasant,
very cool,
always pleasant. Yeah. But
I love Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah.
I love the fact that the world shuts down for a day. We got football and food. I mean, I don't know what's better.
Now.
Family, football, food, family.
Right. Hey,
we didn't have family this year, so
right. Oh, I love it. And hey, absolutely. And what made it better is that for the second year in a row, actually for the third year, because like you said, we had that run in 2020. For the third year in a row, November football has been positive for us. A week ago, we did what we thought we were going to do, beating the Texans 23-10 with some serious running game and some solid defense, and came back and talked to our friends, our friends in the Atlanta Falcons community, Anthony, Kyle.
I got a little song for them, Sean.
Come on now. Let them know
I got
how
a little
we
song
do,
for these guys. Da 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 da.
Let's go. Let's get it.
It doesn't matter how it ended. All that matters is the fact that there's a score that you got on there posted. That's all that matters. That's all we're gonna remember. We're not gonna remember how we won or how fortunate we were to catch a ball in the end zone, an interception. Not gonna talk about that.
Not gonna talk about any of it. But before we do get into the game, we will address how certain two members of the Let's Talk Football community came into the comments and let us have it. I got a little something I'd like to share with them.
Oh, I'm glad you're here, Zagdiff. I'm glad you're here because that pain's coming.
The pain is not coming, man. The pain is not freaking coming.
Wait. Commanders are taking that L. Okay, because we playing Kyle Yates and the Falcons.
There
Get
we go. Yes, absolutely. I
we
think
coming for y'all. That's all I gotta say.
Kyle, we definitely gonna talk about that because you know the Dirty Bird's gonna win.
Left hand up. Who are we?
Let's go.
Left hand up.
That's right.
So did you see what you did there? You didn't even know it. You said the pain is coming, Sean.
Woo!
You said that to Anthony. Look what you forecasted.
Let's go.
You knew it. You knew Deron Payne was going to make a play to win the game.
But you know what? And I love that. I love that because you know what? We have talked about from the beginning, from the off season, that this is a year he's trying to get paid. We know how Jonathan Allen got his money. So Payne is playing like he's playing for that contract. And I'm going to tell you something, not to go off script. We're going to get into this in a second, but he's playing out of his mind. And that last play, it was indicative of that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I mean, they talk about in practice, one of the reporters, I think it was JP Finley, asked him, you guys are deflecting a lot of passes now. What is it that you guys are doing? And I think I can't remember exactly what he said. He said that the Coach Z told him to run wide, run, with the arms out. Even if you're not getting in the backfield, put your hands up. And we've seen in the last couple of games how that's been effective. So I'm excited about that.
We cannot post that. We cannot that post that Jeremy just gave us.
You see that, right?
Yeah, I see that. Jeremy, you're watching. I'm not going to make that public here. I see what you wrote there.
Okay, you were undefeated.
We're undefeated. That's right.
Let's get it. Let's go right into it though. Let's get into it. Talk about this game. Yes, we won by 6 points, 19-13. There was a number of positives. Our defense played great. Our running game, we ran the ball. We did that. Taylor, he did what he needed to do.
He had his moments.
He definitely had his moments. But, our own line didn't give up any sacks. These are huge parts of this game. We did good. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters, we got the W. Mm-hmm. Will, what are your thoughts, man?
So you said it really well, I think, during the game, where both of these teams were set up to play the same way. We focus on a running game and defense, and that's our formula for success. And then you had a rainy day, and I mean, 1913, or that type of stuff. Like, it was built for these two teams to be close and play in the slop and play through it, and that's what you saw. I mean, both teams had over 150 yards rushing, and so they stuck to their game plan because their game plan for success was being successful. And so it was basically punch counterpunch by these teams doing the exact same thing of physical offense that wears down the defense, to set up opportunities for play action passes and in minimal passing games. I felt like what was frustrating to me during the game is there were multiple times when we would have better field position, and I was like, put the game away.
Right.
Get the drive,
Right.
and then we didn't. Another time,
Yes.
put the game away, get the drive, and then we didn't. So like, it was frustrating. And then, I mean, I'll be honest, at the very end, I mean, I had my head down going, oh my gosh, we're going to lose this game.
Mm-hmm.
They're at that 2-yard line. Then I think James Smith-Williams made the play.
Yeah.
And then we got the interception. So it's like, that doesn't happen to us very
No,
often.
it doesn't. It
We
doesn't.
don't come out on the winning end of these situations. So that was nice.
Right.
I had a huge relief.
Well, now look, the James Smith-Williams play does normally happen. We have an opportunity where we have the quarterback fully in our grasp. Somehow he breaks away, and normally he makes a play. So at that point, I too was like, oh, well, there it is. And look, for everybody else in the stadium, I think it goes back to the Super Bowl where the Seahawks played the Patriots, where it's like everybody in the stadium knows they can't stop the run the ball. Mariota had been torching us. Algier, Daryl Patterson, all of them had been running and gashing us.
Yes.
But yet they went to the pass. And I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah.
Twice. And when that happened, I didn't feel as nervous. I'm not going to lie to you, because I was not worried as much about Mariota. Mariota had some passes, but he also, I remember there's one pass where he throws down the middle of the field. He has Drake London on a deep cross, and he throws it at his feet.
Mm-hmm.
Drake London catches that in his between the numbers, and he could have taken off. You know what I mean? So I wasn't afraid of the passing game in Atlanta, and so that at the end of the day, I think it's a little bit more on them because, like you said, at the end, we should have lost that one.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, Mariota missed more throws. Even if they were caught, he missed where he should have thrown it more often. Like you said, Drake London. The other one he had Zacchaeus, the wide receiver, was streaking down. He threw it so short that he got caught. He couldn't. If he hit him in stride, he was gone. So Mariota was not very impressive. So and I don't think we can blame it on the wet conditions either. So we got away with one. We did, but like you're saying, hey man, when things are working for you, when you're playing well, when you're playing fundamental football, things will bounce your way, and
exactly.
We got to keep it going now.
Oh, exactly. But look, as we do, there was a lot of positives in this game. Will, I'm going to send it right back to you. What were some of your positives in this game, in this win?
I start with what's been working. What I always start with every single week during this winning streak: our defensive line.
Yep.
Making plays. They had 9 tackles. They were involved in 8 additional assists for tackles. They were just in every single play, whether it's making the tackle or having to being disruptive or having to be so focused on. Remember that picture I sent to you? Atlanta tried to run up the middle, so they put 3 offensive linemen on Jonathan Allen, 2 offensive linemen on Deron Payne, and they let everyone else free. It's up to the linebackers to make a play. Their game plan was like, we have to take out these D tackles. And I mean, they found schemes, and we're going to get to that in the negatives of it. But it's just our defensive line just continues to play so well, and they're playing well as a unit. Yeah. It's not just about me getting my sacks, me running, blitzing the quarterback. They're making plays, and when the plays are there to be made, they do. We're batting the balls down. Montez Sweat got a sack, which I thought he was going to destroy Mariota when he had that opportunity. He kind of like let up and just made the tackle. When he was beating down on him, I was like, oh boy,
here we go.
Yeah, exactly. He's about to get crushed. So I love that from the defensive line. And then the second level, Jamin Davis. Mm-hmm. The continued progression of him. making plays out there. I had some stats. I lost my stats on. 6 tackles and 4 assists for Jamin, and he makes some very sound tackles. Let you know he's there, and you're going down quick when he gets his arms on you. That sets a tone. That gets everyone fired up when he hits somebody hard. So he's just continued to progress, and he's filling in so well with Cole Holcomb being out, playing well with the defensive line. So it's continued success by those guys, and I love seeing it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And look, staying right there on the defense, our secondary. Man, I'm going to tell you this. I'm not trying to speak ill of those who have left and William Jackson. But since you've been gone, I'm going to tell you something, man. These guys are playing together. The emergence of Derek Forrest is been out of this world. He led the team with 11 tackles, 8 of them being solo. You have Cam Curl. Both of those guys are what? PFFs had them in the top 5 in cornerback percentage, or
consistently, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, these guys are playing out of their mind. Then the reemergence of Kendall Fuller, having back-to-back weeks with having an interception, the one where he had the pick 6 that, in my mind, shut down that game. Any kind of
in the first quarter,
any kind of anxiety we had after he took it back, it's like, okay, these guys they don't have a level.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And the way the secondary has come together, and now they are helping the linebackers. They are helping that D line, and it's just complimentary. But I think the emergence of that secondary, that's what's kind of getting Jamin Davis to the point where it's like, I don't have to worry about coming back here and covering here. I can spy the quarterback. I can get this running back. I can stay. There's so many tackles. To your point on Jamin Davis, you sent me a text and you were like, he is a sure dang on tackler. There are so many times where it's like you see him, the running back, bust through the hole, and all of a sudden Jamin Davis gets that shoelace tackle. The tackle that we're always talking about Gibson gets. You know what I mean? Where he gets stacked. Jamin Davis is the one diving in there, getting those plays, and he's being vocal about it. He's being loud. He's looking at the guys. I love that, man. And the secondary is definitely it's just helping out the defense. Look, we're top 10 in a number of categories on defense, including total defense. And that from where we were, that's huge. We've always known this is going to be bend but don't break. But these guys are actually starting to impose their will. I'm excited about that, Will.
Absolutely.
I'm excited about that. Hey, so I'm gonna keep going on this, and we talk about complimentary football, and we're going to get into the offense a little later. And I've done this the last couple times. People are going to start thinking I'm in love with the special teams. All right, but I'm going to tell you something. When they're efficient and they get it done, I love that. Now, with that being said, one of my negatives will be if you're a daggone NFL kicker, you need to make all of your extra points. That's ridiculous. This game would have been over if he makes an extra point. We wouldn't have been worried about it. So, but that's the negatives. I apologize. I'm going to recoup my time. All right. He had the 2 field goals, which were 2 huge field goals. When it was 16-10, that field goal took it out. Now it makes it a 2-possession game. Yeah. Now they got to do more. You know what I mean? The mindset, the play calling, all that stuff's different. Having the other field goals that getting us back in it and tying it up after they scored. These are huge field goals that we're getting. Then on the flip side, you talk about Tress Way, over 100, they got 3 punts for 127 yards, something like 45 yards average. What is normal? 2 of those punts were inside the 20, including one that just deaded right at the 5-yard line.
He did. He hit it like a golf flop shot, man.
Right.
It
just right there. I mean, you talk about that rain. They were talking about they could hear it just go boom right on the ground, and it stopped right there. So those are the type of things that change the game. Look, their offense was already sputtering. We knew they had issues, but burying them deep in their own side of the field, it definitely benefited our defense, which was very hungry. Our special teams, you throw in 51 yards on a couple kick returns by Antonio Gibson, Dax Milne and them back. We even had Erickson. Alex Erickson was back at punt return of this, So our special teams, including all the guys that we're not speaking of, that run down the
Gunners.
The Gunners, the Percy Butler,
Christian Holmes, Butler,
Holmes.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And shout out to Christian Holmes getting his for the first career start,
Yeah, And he held it down a little bit.
Okay,
yeah.
watch out. So but special teams, we're getting closer to a full team win. Offense is good, defense is good, and special teams come in. They're all complementary. They're all helping each other. So that was something I was really excited about. What about you?
Well, I was thinking about Tressway and the punts too, because when you talk about complementary football, he's doing what we need because we don't have an explosive offense. So field position matters to us. Yes. And that's what was getting me so frustrated because we kept getting the ball at like our 35, 40-yard line where you don't have to go too far down the field to be in field goal range. Right. And because Tress, when we didn't, he just kept pinning them, and you're making Atlanta go a long field on a team that is like us that wants to run short passes. That takes a lot out of your offense. It takes a lot of time. So it is so great to see the complementary football that we're playing between them, as well as you mentioned between the secondary and the D line. Everyone talks about, well, if you have a good pass rush, you don't have to worry about your secondary. But they also kind of work hand in hand. If your secondary is close on their coverage, the quarterback is going to hold on to the ball because he doesn't see anything that he likes, and you're going to give your D-line a chance to get to him. And they're really working together. It's just showing that for all the time that we've been critical of Jack Del Rio here, how it's really coming together.
Exactly.
And I've listened to a couple pods, and they're like, well, what has happened? And there is some recognition of a certain corner that's no longer around, but also they're just kind of like, well, the players are in year 2 of this, or some of them are in year 3. These guys are drafted into this defense. They're learning it, and they're really learning and understanding the schemes. And so you got to credit the defensive coordinator for kind of drowning out the noise and saying, this is what we need to do to be successful. And it's working.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it goes along with the whole coaching staff. We know there are people that, will dog the coaching staff as a whole. But look, all of them have been doing it. Rivera, you talk about Jack Del Rio holding the defense together. Rivera holding the team together when we were 1-4. You know what I mean? Now that we've won 6 out of the last 7 games, now some of the things that he's been preaching from before, telling us to hold strong, stay with me, stay with it. That it's coming to fruition. People are starting to see the fruits of their labor, and they're getting excited about that. You know what I mean? And that it says something. Even your boy, Scott Turner, I feel like some of the play calls have gotten better. He's kind of stuck with something. That kind of goes into my next point. We had 11 rushing first downs among, I think, 13, 14 first downs total. Okay? 11 rushing first downs. We are getting it on the ground. We are running the ball and getting 4.8 yards a carry. You know what I mean? So that's 2. You're getting 2 plays, 3 plays for a first down. Now, all of a sudden, not only are you stretching the clock, but you're constantly pounding them with multiple carries. Another game where we had over 30 carries as a team, over 170 yards as a total as a team. This is big. We know what Brian Robinson, and we're give him the game ball a little bit later. But you also have Antonio Gibson coming in here and giving carries. You know what I mean? You have Curtis Samuel, who I love that. For a while, I was kind of, once the emergence of Brian Robinson, I was like, maybe we don't need to. But I've talked about it before, that motion. All that continued motion that seems to happen on every single play now, that motion absolutely holds that defense. And now all of a sudden, you're getting sometimes where you're getting Curtis Samuel run up the gut. Terry McLaurin on the jet sweep. It's becoming, he's getting it maybe once or twice a game. But the emergence of that other guy, the guy that you talked about this offseason, Jonathan Williams, coming in there and getting some tough yards. And I remember that run where he's sitting here and it looks like he got stopped for 2 or 3 yards, and all of a sudden you see him just dragging the pile for a first down. And you're like, whoo, okay.
He runs hard.
Right.
He runs violent.
Right. And I love that. I love that. And you can see that on his face. But as a team, the running game, that commitment to run, Scott Turner, I applaud him for understanding. We know we got in the quarterback. So don't want it, he's going to make his mistakes and he's going to do whatever he's going to do. But that running game, that is our bread and butter. Keep pounding the rock. And I love that he did that. So,
yep, I agree. And I've been saying how it's not always so much like, so this game, we certainly had a lot of yards.
Yeah.
And that always is obviously a recipe for success. but it also can be the timeliness of the runs. Are they creating first downs?
Yeah.
Are they third and shorts and you're getting the yardage you need? Are you getting from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 4, which now makes it a lot more comfortable for the offense for the passing game and running shorter routes, or you could just open more things up. And they have been doing that the last couple of weeks. They've also, they're really relying heavily on the run. We're close to 50-50 balance. We're at like a 52-48 over this winning streak. And it's shown that that's our strength. And I mean, some of that I do think is because they want to limit how many times Taylor can make a mistake. Whereas before they also knew, though, with Carson is he's got the arm. So let's utilize it. But we've really found with this team, we need that running game to be the focal point of our offense. And so he's stuck with it and kept it going. I couldn't, Brian Robinson with his first 100-yard game running, and then he had that, highlight reel touchdown catch and run that you showed, when he said, well, when I see a defensive back, I figure about 85-90% of the time I better win that battle. It's like, this is a great mindset.
I love that.
It's like, you're not going to stop me. I can't get stopped by you, that type of stuff, which is great. I also saw some, again, meaningful plays. Terry had I think 4 catches, maybe 48 yards, but they were first downs. They were moving the chains. Yes. They were big. They were more than just a slant pass. They were a 15, 20-yard passing play that moved the ball, got everyone gets the crowd going with the big first down. De'Ami Brown caught a first down catch. It's like that's the type of stuff that keeps momentum going. This is how Taylor Heinicke gets everyone behind him, is because he'll make plays that get the crowd off their feet, get the players all pumped up. And so some of the plays were very timely when they're making them to keep our momentum going.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And something we will be talking about a little bit later. Definitely excited to see kind of where this thing all comes to fruition. And it's excited to see Taylor when he gets it done and he has his moments. But there, there's also certain things you got to see with him. But we'll discuss that a little bit later. And during the bye week, we're going to talk about the state of Taylor Heinicke.
We're going to have to dissect it. Yeah, pretty hard. Where are we at here with this? What are we doing moving forward? Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Because we are realistic, ladies and gentlemen. We're definitely realistic. Are you good with positives? You got anything else?
I've got all mine out. Yep.
That's where I am. I have one positive that I'm going to end with, and the only reason is because it directly affects the negative that I'll start with. Right before the half, ladies and gentlemen, they are driving down. They're driving to score. I was 10-10, I believe, and they're running the ball and they're being able to gash us. And we're able to stop them first and second down, and it gets to third down. We stop them again. Then it gets to 4th and 1, and then they try to
They had the ball.
At first they tried to jump offside.
Yeah.
They called a timeout. They ran it again. They ended up running it right up the gut. We stuffed it, shut them down. Huge momentum change. You have that picture of Jonathan Allen just screaming, just so excited. We're hooting and hollering as fans. We come in there, next play, pass, flippinception.
Yes.
I don't need to tell you the vast range of emotion that I just went from at one point here to another point there to then back to anger up here again. Just like, what in the world? We're going to negatives because we had an amazing 4th down stand, one that almost in a season full of solid 4th down stands. We talked about the Bears game. In a season full of those, this is one that is directly in the middle of the field, mano a mano. Your guys, your running team, you're good with that against us, our D-line, blah, blah, and we stopped them. We're good. We came off the field, and then our daggone quarterback just gave it back to us. Like, they gave it right back. Like, what? Come on, man. Like, that. It's just, again, and this is why I said what I said about Taylor before, is because we're going to talk about this later, is because you can't overlook this. This stuff continues to happen. These interceptions. The only thing I felt that was good about the interception was Will's words were ringing in my ear. If he throws it early, we got a shot. We can come back from it.
He gets it out of the system.
Now, there was another one that he threw that ended up getting overturned. That might have been the one that was to
Yes.
McLaurin that took it out of
Yes.
McLaurin's hand. So that one ended up getting overturned. But still, we've seen how deadly these interceptions can be. And it's just we can't do it. It's not realistic for us to think that we're going to continue to win over and over if these mistakes keep coming up. Because there's going to be a time where we're gonna throw it the interception. They're not going to call it back. They're not going to miss the call, and it's going to be that. Like, we cannot keep allowing this to happen. So just like you said, he says he's changed, but this is the same stuff we've seen last year. We just have more talent on the team.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of your negatives, man? What do you think?
So let's stay on that Taylor Heineke theme. I thought about this today. I think it might resonate because we also make always every single game we criticize Scott Turner, and it's like, wait a minute, what happened to the game plan that was working? So here's my analogy. All right, growing up in Herndon, okay, we used to drive along many of the back roads through neighborhoods and whatnot to get from place to place. If you remember, see if you can picture this: Sadler's Wells. You turn on to, now I just forgot the name. And it connects, it goes by Drainsville Elementary and connects to Drainsville Road. Okay. When you first turn onto that road, and I can't believe I forgot the name of the street there. You're driving down and you're going 25 to 30. And it's real easy to do because the school's coming. So you're going downhill. So you stay the speed limit. That's just like us in the first quarter, first half. Scott Turner's calling a lot of runs. It's the beginning of the drive. He's not going to make sure that we get into some trouble. Once you pass the elementary school and you're still just going straight downhill, you start to speed up a little bit. It's real hard. You get bored, okay? Yeah. I think Scott Turner gets bored during the game, and he starts dialing up more passing plays for Taylor. And that's when we start having some trouble during drives. And then you hit a stop sign, so you slow down. And then you have the final stretch. So you go back to going 25, 30 till you hit Drainsville Road at the stoplight. And that's the third and fourth quarters, mostly the fourth quarter, where Scott realizes, okay, this is what I need to be doing. And I'm going to call the right plays because I was bored back there for like the second and third quarter, and I'm making bad, too aggressive. Because I just get bored watching him. These dink and dunks, we're going to get aggressive. And I think that's what we see happen in the games with Taylor because we start off with a very good script. And that second drive of the game, he was money. His throws were great. His reads were great. The ball was coming out fast. The running game was helping to complement. And then I think it was the fourth quarter, third or fourth quarter is when he had that touchdown pass to John Bates. Same thing. We got back on script. We went ahead. We were going the speed limit. And we utilized what we needed to, and he had they called a really good red zone play where they confused the defense, and John Bates was open. All right, so Scott Turner kind of gets the feel for him, but it's during the game we get bored with Taylor, and we take the handcuffs off a little bit, and he runs wild, and we can't be doing that. We can't take the seatbelt off of him ever. He needs to stay under, keep that governor on that car because when we do, it's just. I mean, he had 138 yards passing, man.
Yeah, it's not.
This is where it's like I can admit that he is better for this offense than Carson Wentz. But I cannot admit this is what we should be doing for the next year or two or 5 years. No. This is not a professional offense. He can't throw over 200 yards ever. It's terrible.
There's game manager, and then there's just kind of like what he's doing. Like he's barely getting it above 100. And sometimes there are sometimes we've had games where we've gone into the fourth quarter under 100 yards passing, and we're sitting here like are you serious with all these daggone weapons? But if us running the ball more and limiting that and know that becomes the reason behind these numbers, I'm okay with that. But if it gets to the point where he is trying to, hey, F it, I'll chuck it down there, or like the second and third quarter, take that up daggone playbook. Just run the ball. I mean, I don't care. I know it's boring, but he has the propensity to do it once. He's gonna do it. You talk about it. He's gonna get it done once, and it's irritating. It really is. There are positives, different things that he was able to do, but having a QBR of 53.7 ain't one of them.
I ain't gonna do it.
What are the negatives you got, man?
Our defense, our run defense. This was kind of surprising. But I also think we got to look at two things. I mean, it was surprising that we got gashed the way we did. But I'm going to credit Atlanta because, one, I mean, they are a good running team. They focus on running the ball. That's why they have so many different backs that they use. They rotating in and out. But more importantly, it was their scheme that I was impressed with.
Yeah.
They recognize we're not going to be able to run up the middle, so we better run to the outside. And that's what they did, is they would run it towards past our defensive ends on the outside, or they would run a lot of read option. I mean, Mariota really torched us with the read option keepers, and we kept biting in and crashing in. So he'd keep it and run outside. So I think they gave us that. They put a little bit of blueprint on how to run against the Commanders. You run to the edges. You avoid Payne, Allen, and John Ridgeway in the middle.
Yeah.
There,
Let's go Ridgeway.
Right. Big fella had another tackle.
Made a little name for himself, man. Sticking around, man.
Yeah. So we were gonna have to shore that up, but I also yes, it was a negative on our part, but I think we also need to credit their scheme for seeing one thing that they needed to avoid and finding a way to do it.
Yeah. And look, to that point, and something that they've talked about in a lot of the pressers, we have got to work on. We have issues with mobile quarterbacks.
Yes.
We've seen it whenever we've had to play Justin Fields, he torched us. Jalen Hurts, we were able to kind of contain him, but once they had those direct runs, those QB leads, he was gashing us similar to the way that Marcus Mariota was. Marcus Mariota, it seemed like a more efficient, maybe Taylor Heineke. He knows the offense. We're going to run this way. We're going to run that way. A couple dink passes here. Complete this over here. Just don't get out of your thing. It reminds me of the movie Hitch with Will Smith and Kevin James, and you just see Kevin James, doing all this. Yeah, right. Yeah. This is you right here. Just stay right in. It's never truer because Mariota and Heineke alike, they can move. They're mobile. They can get you these quick passes, this and that. If you hit a wide open guy, whatever. The minute they start getting out of their box and start to do too much, it creates issues. But we have consistently had issues with mobile quarterbacks, and that's something that I fear might hurt us down the line. And it's something that we're going to have to get a hold of because for however great Jamin Davis has been in the Philly games where he's been able to kind of spy on Jalen Hurts, Mariota, man, looked like, I was making a comment to Anthony, Mariota looked like the Oregon Mariota out there.
Yeah,
like the way he was turning that corner and getting those first downs, and I'm sitting here like y'all for real?
I know.
You know what I mean? He ain't looked this great all year. Like, what are y'all doing? So yeah, we us and mobile quarterbacks, it's going to be an issue. We got Dak coming up, as we know. You know what I mean?
Daniel Jones,
right?
Yeah,
back-to-back games.
I mean,
with him.
They gave him a blueprint for the Giants of how to run on us, and that fits the Giants, scheme.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So, yeah, that's where we're at. You got any more negatives?
You said it earlier, Joey Sly, man. I guess the only positive that can come from it is the defense realize we can't give up this touchdown because we'll lose the game. But, you put us in a bind with that miss.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So, we are going to move on to game balls, ladies and gentlemen. And we talked about this before the show. We have two of the similar game balls. These are the ones that we know what it is. First and foremost, we're going to start in my position, running back, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Big Hat. I know how I feel about that. But Brian Robinson, 18 carries, 105 yards, over 5 yards a carry. First 100-yard rushing game of his career. First receiving touchdown of his career where he, like we talked about, ran over the defender, number 34, in lieu of getting his first receiving touchdown. This man, having him on here, having him on the team, absolutely kind of masks some of the issues that Taylor has because we can run the ball. It would be interesting to see what would have happened. Carson would have had this type of consistency, a trust in the running game with having a Brian Robinson here, man. Like, he totally has changed the offense.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, and he talked about how it was going to take him some time to get going. And they've really said now he feels comfortable. He's as close to fully back as he can be from his like I was saying injury, but wounds that he had, and he's really making a huge difference there. And it's just some of it's just the way he runs. It's 5-yard runs that are just mauling people, or having 4 defenders on his back. That, again, it's the same thing sometimes with Heineke. It just gets the rest of the team fired up when it happens out there. He's been incredible for us. And it's been a little bit like we talked about in August, where we thought this was going to be a 2-headed running machine, and he's healthy, and he's taken over with it. It's great.
Oh, he absolutely is. And there's one point in the game where they ran a play. I think it was just, one of the straight dive plays right up the middle, and it kind of got jammed up at the line, and the camera was panning. It was towards the huddle and towards the quarterback, and you see Robinson look to the sidelines and say, like, come on, do some more of that. And they ran another one, and it kind of got 2 or 3 yards, and they ran it again, and he busts for like 10 yards. And then the camera just happens to go into the huddle again, and you just see Brian Robinson have this glassy stare right at the sidelines. Like, I told you, keep running me the ball. And that, I mean, like you said, wounds. This man was shot in his legs not more than 3 months ago. And now all of a sudden, he's still here being able to do what he's doing. And he's telling us 85, 90%. Come on now. So absolutely incredible. So glad for him to be where he is. And if we keep continuing relying on him and what he's allowed us to do, Antonio Gibson is now hitting those edges and is killer, on the outside. So that's something we want to see. But who is your game ball on defense, Will?
You have the guy who saved the game, Kendall Fuller. Yeah. And he is not just because of the play he made. Well, I mean, he gets the game ball because of the play he made, picking the pass off in the end zone. But you said it earlier, he's had 2 interceptions in the last 2 games. He's made so much progression in the last couple of weeks. They talked about on the Monday night game against the Eagles how smart of a player he is, and how he was making plays where he could just read what the receivers were trying to go, and he broke off, hit one route because he knew the ball was going over, and he had a pass breakup. It's just like, there was a lot of criticism of him earlier in the season. We shredded him after the Eagles game, but it certainly seems like as the defense has gotten better, he's been a lot more of a focal point in shutting the players down, and it's great to see him get another interception to help save the game for us.
That was huge. We talked about the interception he had against Houston that essentially ended that game in the beginning of the game, that pick 6, and I felt like that one yesterday was just justified it. Like, I'm back, like all that stuff you've been talking, like I'm here, like I'm ready to help the team, and they've brought him back. Everybody's in the fold, so I'm excited. I love it. Those are our game balls, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen. So we are going to give you a quick little breather, and we'll be right back.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's go. The Washington Commanders. There it is. Yeah, buddy. Welcome back. This is Washington Football Weekly. I am your host, Sean Spencer, with my guy, Mr. Will Kramer, ladies and gentlemen. And we have been talking about the Atlanta Falcons game. Washington is 7-5, winning 6 out of their last 7, feeling pretty good going into the final stretch. But there was something that's been happening. On Sunday was the 15th anniversary of the passing of Sean Taylor. And, they had a tribute, or maybe they had a tribute. The last 2 times they've had any mention of tributes and things like this, you have what we're going to talk about now. And the last time you have the Mahomes' little brother dancing all over the
pictures in front of Porter Johns.
Yeah. Like,
they've watched this twice in a row.
What the? Come on, man.
What the is exactly it. So I'm guessing you're going to say, I'll ask you this. Did you like what they did?
No.
Was that what you had in your mind?
I'll say I did not have a statue in mind. I know we're going. I didn't have a statue or something like that. A mural, something more. Just not that. I get the daughter designed it. I get kind of the reason behind it, but I could have came up with that. And if that's all it takes to be in that kind of field and come up with something like that, sign me up, because I could do better than that. And that's just for how much we love him.
That
wasn't
doesn't do it for you. Exactly. And that's what I don't understand is they admitted that they botched it last year, bringing him his family up. They retired his number. They had him take pictures and with porta johns in the background.
Right.
Like they screwed that over. I think, they had some negative press going on. So they figured, how can we flip this around? Let's honor Sean Taylor. Let's do it this weekend. And they made the decision on a Wednesday. And for the Sunday's game, but this time they announced it. They said we're going to do a tribute to him. We're going to have a permanent display for him, or they said permanent something. They didn't really make it clear, but they had plenty of time to plan this, and that's what they rolled out. It makes you just go, "What?"
Right?
Like it doesn't make any sense. Cue the Nathan Snell.
Oh, most definitely. Where is it? Oh, there it is.
Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah, when they took the drapes off and showed it, it's like, really? That's all you could come up with? And like you said, there was artistic symbolism behind it. The purpose of the mannequin having wired arms was to say that there's no one in this jersey. There will never be another player wearing this jersey. It was supposed that he was in a pose that his daughter created.
Right.
And he was wearing soccer cleats because Sean would wear those instead of the football cleats issued because he liked them better when he could, not all the time. So there were things in there that the family understood. Why did you not tell this to everybody? Right. Why did you not run this through the local media and let them be the one to dispute that or disperse this information through Twitter and everything to say it's going to be, instead of everyone thinking statue, and you had to know people were thinking statue. Right. Why did you not say we're making a permanent display of his memorabilia so people would have an idea what you are unveiling? Right. And, it's meant to be a thing for fans to come gather around, take a look, take pictures. They have his locker room up in the club level, but they wanted this for all the fans to be able to see. But again, it continues the business decision botches that keep happening under President Jason Wright, because this is his side of the team. This isn't Ron Rivera. This is Jason Wright. You had your 90 greatest Redskins football team commanders, and you misspelled some of the guys that played for the Redskins. You've got this situation here with Sean Taylor, and part of me, like you're wondering, is you and I talk about, like, they don't have someone with historical knowledge of the team to say, why is the face mask not taped up? That's what he did. You could do little things to make it, if you're going to make it a mannequin type pose like that, to where people will say, oh yeah, that was him. That was exactly what he looked like. So it's another mistake. But here's the bottom line. The family liked it. Yeah. Not only because were they involved with it, but they saw the tributes to that, the cleats, certain things with him. And so if the family's happy, that's all that really matters. But I will say this, now that we've done this, we've got to stop. Yeah. Stop bringing up his name and bringing the family up all the time, because they got emotional during that. You saw his daughter, and you could tell that she had tears in her eyes. And the family, you're making them. I mean, essentially, you're forcing them to go back to what is almost, it's a gravesite for them, or it's a memorial that they're going to think about all this time. That yes, us fans are selfish and want to pose with his jersey and remember all our time with him, but we got to let it go. We got to move on and let the family move on, and you've done what you can do. You can take it with the new stadium whenever it's been made, but it wasn't done right. And it's just a continuing why they are constantly a joke.
Yeah. Yeah. So unfortunately, and I hate that these are the last couple of memories that we're having surrounding Sean Taylor, is these type of botched tributes and things like that. And this is like, it's ridiculous. Look, his memory lives on in the fans. Anytime you go to a game, you'll see there's so many number 21 jerseys. Mm-hmm. We all know how many players coming up looked up to him and the way that he played. The Miami University, they love him. We already know that, man. Shout out to him. But yeah, you're absolutely right. They really do need to stop. Like, his name's in the Ring of Fame. Like, he's already well represented. We love him, but they clearly are not able to do this successfully. It's not working. Exactly. And between the timing and the actual doing it up. But like you said, the family likes it. Wipe our hands with it. R.I.P. Sean Taylor. and let's go. Well, we'll remember him kind of the way we do, because I'm not going to rely on them to do any of that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, buddy. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go ahead and move on and give you a quick little commercial. On the way back, we have a special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a division rival, loves his team, loves his guys. Mr. Corey Stevens. We'll be right back and bring him in.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's go. The Washington Commanders. There it is.
All right.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, we see
this
that
guy.
big blue.
This guy. Here
What's up,
we
guys?
go. How's it going, man?
Man, I'm doing well. How are y'all doing?
We're good. We're good. We love these Wednesday nights to talk about our Commanders.
Let's go.
You got a good team to talk about this year, so it must be a lot more fun.
It's been a lot of fun this year. Very good. And we've got a big game this weekend.
Huge game.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so back in August, we're thinking here, come first week of December, was this going to be as meaningful as it was? And, there's no way any of us could have thought about that.
Certainly not. It's a good thing to be talking about an important game in Giants for the December instead of talking about what draft pick they're gonna have.
What top 5 draft
pick?
Exactly. Yeah, where are we gonna go? I know. We talk about, as we call it, we take the Lexus commercial tagline. It's a December to remember.
Okay, very good.
That's all we look for.
Well, you get 3 straight weeks of Giants focus, so
I know.
Enjoy it. Enjoy watching us for the next couple of weeks.
What a crazy schedule! Yeah, Washington goes Giants, bye week Giants. You guys go obviously the same, and then you mix in the Eagles as well.
Right.
I actually was looking at your schedule. The last 6 games of the season, 5 of them are all playoff teams right now.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough road, especially the way we've been playing the last couple of weeks. It's going to be interesting to see if everything just kind of falls off the tracks here. So
right. Well, so let's kind of jump into that. So you've got a first-year head coach in Brian Dable. No one thought you'd be 7-4. Everyone predicted you to be the fourth place of the division. So what's happened?
It's strange. He seees to be holding the players kind of accountable, off the field in more cases than we've seen in the past, I think. Guys like Kenny Galladay can't even get on the field, trading Kadarius Toney after I don't know what his whole deal is. He can't get on the field, but when he does, he's good, but I don't know, problem. So they get rid of him. So he seems to be kind of changing the not only in-game culture, but kind of how things go, I think, in the facility from day to day. But I got to admit that I kind of felt the same way about Joe Judge after his first season.
You were a Judge fan.
I was a Judge fan, and his kind of Judge's good stretch came in after a 1-7 start. So you were kind of felt like, oh, look at him. He's changing things. He's got us on track. He's doing all this good stuff. And Dable comes out of the gate so hot, and then you're like, well, this is amazing. Is he ever going to lose? And then, now we've kind of hit a little bit of reality, I think, and seeing some of the talent depth issues that we have with a lot of injuries and things like that. And so to fall now to 7-4, have this tough stretch coming up, it's going to be, I don't know. I'm still not sold. I don't know if it's something that can last. It was a flash in a pan. Like, what kind of deal is it? But there's 2 things that I do think that are different from his last, or from the last regime, so to speak. So we seem to have a better plan going into games that depends on who we're playing. Some weeks Daniel Jones is running a lot. Some weeks Barkley's getting 35 carries. Some weeks we're just kind of dropping back and throwing it. So I feel like they have sort of a more game plan specific to who the team we're playing is, as opposed to like, oh, we're going to do what we do and we're just going to, we're going to just beat our head against the wall until it works kind of deal. And then we've been a second half team all year. We've held teams in the second half to almost no points, and we've had much better offensive outings the second half, which kind of says, okay, they see what's happening and they're able to adjust and they kind of know what's going on, which, is very exciting and promising. But, here we are 7-4, 3rd place. And so it's, basically 4th place on the line this week. So it's I don't know. It's going to be, jury's still out for me on what this whole program is going to look like come end of the season.
Sure. But that's a lot to be encouraged about, though. Like, that's a coaching thing that you're seeing,
Right.
like
It
the
seems
fact
that
that
way.
they see stuff in the opponent to say, okay, we're going to attack them this way this week. Like that's kind of, exciting. But like you said, you've had a bunch of fourth quarter wins, which obviously is exciting too, but also lets you know, they're making adjustments and out there.
I think the stat is Daniel Jones has 4 fourth quarter comebacks so far on the season.
Ooh.
So, that's pretty exciting that we're able to do that, but also like kind of scary. Like, all right, everything's a close game. Like, when are we going to just blow somebody out and show that we're kind of a good team type of deal too?
Right. Well, we feel the same.
We feel the same, right?
We finally against the Texans had a relaxing fourth quarter. Right. You were able to hit the recliner up and, just sit there and enjoy the game instead of being at the, front edge of your seat or on the ground like I was, in the last game on that final drive. I was like, we're done here. All right. So you talked about, here you go. We could do this. Well, let's do this. Jared posted in, which quarterback do we trust more, Jones or Heineke?
Oh, God.
I'm going to say Daniel Jones. Game on the line, final drive of the game. Who do you want with the ball?
I mean, I guess technically we had his 5 game-winning drives this year, so it's hard to say. Stats don't lie. You can kind of pick Jones there. But I don't know. Heineke kind of goes on these miraculous 6-7 game runs where he just seems to, like, nothing he does goes wrong. And so I don't know if this is another one of those situations. He's going to come crashing down to earth, or is this finally the year he sustains that for, like a full season type of situation too,
Right.
So I mean, I'm obviously going to pick my guy, but
I'm going to pick Jones too. Sean, who do you pick?
I'm staying Homer. I'm staying Heineke. Look, we know how he's going to do the rest of the game. The other 58 minutes are going to be a struggle to watch. But those last 2, he's going to make you believe you can do anything.
It's true. So, I mean, he's going to throw it up to Terry to give him a chance to make a play.
Exactly.
That is true.
That's all we can ask for. That's all we can ask for.
I could see a strip sack coming for Daniel Jones for sure. So
defense. Let's go. Now look. So you're 7-4, and obviously the last couple of weeks have been a little bit of a struggle. But like you said, what we're normally used to would be a top 5 pick or thinking about the draft or going for it. You guys have a new coach in Daboll who is doing great things, but you are kind of still in the rebuild. You're trying to build it back up. Is this success good for you guys, or, are you kind of regretting it a little bit? We had some people in the Washington community be like, why are we winning? We're missing out on maybe a Bryce Young or Will Anderson or something like that. Is this a good thing, having the success and dreaming about the potentially in the playoffs?
Absolutely. 100%. No doubt about it. It is always good to be winning. There's no substitute for that.
Yeah. Better than
we can talk about missed out draft picks, whatever. Everybody said we picked the wrong guys every time anyway. So, it doesn't really matter. There's no guarantee that top 5, we've been picking top 5 for how many years in a row, and it hasn't led to anything. So let's try the bottom of the draft. Maybe we can pick somebody good from there. I don't know. I think it's always good to win. I think it could QB situation. I think we'll talk about in a little bit. It's probably could be a bad thing, I guess, in theory, if we're not going to get a shot at some of those top guys. But I think when you win, you change the feelings about the team. You change free agent signings. You change the belief from the fans. Obviously, you give the players some validation for all the work that they put in, and that's important for confidence. And you kind of, you can start to show if these young guys are seeing that winning's possible. And so when the next group of young guys come in, they'll believe more that winning is possible. And I think that's infectious. I think you can't substitute that out. I think it's hard to be lose all the time and then somehow just flip it. You got to learn how to win. I think that's a real thing. So I'm not going to apologize. And as a fan, it's great to be able to sit here in December and have something meaningful to talk about. So selfishly, let's win. Let's keep going.
We feel the same way. We've been talking about it for weeks now. When Washington was 2-4 and then 3-4, and it's like, okay, is this good or is this bad? Right. And we both said it's like, I don't want to be on here talking about another loss.
Yeah.
Like, I'll deal with the offseason and what do we do with Heineke, or, can we say no to Aaron Rodgers next year? What, I'm just making stuff up. But, like, I'll deal with that. I'd rather have wins. Like you said, it's more fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we've all played sports, right? We've been a part of things. Like it matters. Like it's hard to
Yeah,
show up to practice
does.
the next day when you're not going to get better for the last 6 weeks of the season.
Great point.
If you're 1-12, like you're not you can't. It's impossible for a human to show up every day and have that same type of dedication and motivation, so being in this position only gives us, I think, more and more good quality reps and gives us confidence that, even if it doesn't pan out as great, I mean, if it doesn't pan out this year, okay, but now we've seen it, we've done it before, and you can kind of build off of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So let's talk about we're both like in very similar situations. We've got teams that rely on the run game. We've got a quarterback that doesn't really win, the opponent's not really scared of. So Daniel Jones, I think you did not tender him for his 5th year, right? So this is it. It's decision time on him now. He's 7-4. If he takes you to the playoffs and you look at what are your options out there besides him, what have things changed in big blue land to say we need to stick with him, or are people kind of more ready to move on from him?
I listen to a lot of sports talk radio up here, and from the fans calling in, it's still pretty split on who wants and who doesn't want him to come back. I think that it's still up in the air. I don't think they've made any sort of decision on it yet. And no, absolutely, Jared. They are.
No to Zach Wilson.
No, it's not even.
Right.
Couldn't care less about Zach Wilson. No, not even close. But we don't ask Daniel Jones to do a lot. Like you hit nail on the head. Like we hand the ball off 25 times a game, and he's running another 7 or 8 times a game. We don't ask him to. He's only thrown over 30 passes a couple of times throughout the year. He's turning it over a lot less than he had, in previous seasons. So, I mean, I just don't think that there's that many quarterbacks where I look at, I'm like, that's the guy that's winning teams games. Like there's 3 or 4, there's 4 or 5 maybe. I don't think that there's that big of a gap between, where Daniel Jones is and where some of those middle, whatever quarterbacks that aren't the elite top 3 quarterbacks. Not Mahomes, obviously, whatever. But
right.
So if we make the playoffs, I 100% think he's coming back. I don't see franchise tag is going to be like 30 million or something ridiculous because of Deshaun Watson's contract on the top of it, pulling everything up. So you can't really, if you franchise tag him, he's super expensive. What veteran are you going to get in place of him that's also not going to be $30 million a year if you think he's going to be any good? And I don't think that Daniel Jones is going to demand a $30 million a year contract. I don't think he fits that. I don't think he fits that build. I think he knows that. I think he knows he's got to kind of prove himself a little bit more. So I'm thinking you can get him in for 20, 25, like for 2 or 3 years, and something that's not, super long-term max kind of deal. I don't know how you're going to do better than that cap-wise or just based off of his performance. I think he's improving. He's having his best statistical season. He's winning games in the fourth quarter. You give him year 2 in a system with coaches who seem like they know what they're doing, and maybe he can take that next step. And if he doesn't, okay, well, then we'll be picking in the top 5 again, and we'll have another quarter. I don't see what the alternative is to bringing him back. Now, if we don't make the playoffs, I don't think fans are going to want him back.
Okay.
Because I think you're 7-2 and he can't even get you 2 or 3 more wins to get you into the playoffs. I think then it's a harder sell. I still probably would want to bring him back, but I just don't. Who's out there and available that we really, really love and believe in that can win us a championship that isn't going to immediately put us in some sort of cap situation, which we're already not in a really good cap situation thanks to Mr. Gettleman. So I just don't see any way around bringing him back.
Well, think of it's kind of interesting. It's a great point that you said about what are you going to do that's better? This whole league got into this free agency quarterback frenzy last year because of the success of Brady and then Stafford. But look what's happened to all the quarterbacks that changed teams. You could make the argument that Marcus Mariota has been the best signing or quarterback change out there, and
he's making
and
like
he's
$8
terrible.
million, and he's making like $8 million a year, and he can't throw.
He cannot throw. Right.
So-
So it's a good
No.
point of like, I mean, we know it. We went from Ryan Fitzpatrick, to Carson Wentz, and we're paying him $28 million, which is a lot, but then also, isn't a lot. It's right. It's like the quarterbacks cost money, but we've now gone 2 years in a row of getting a franchise starter, and it hasn't worked out. So they keep getting hurt too, and so that so it's like, what are your alternatives?
Yeah, I mean, there's the pipe dream of Aaron Rodgers, because Lord knows what's going to happen, with him, and if he, but that's a stopgap anyways. Like, that's, who knows what he's got left in him, and then all the other quarterbacks that like say they're going to be available, like Jimmy Garoppolo, cool, but like everybody doesn't believe in Jimmy Garoppolo either. So
how is he
like,
different than Daniel Jones?
Right, he's worse than Daniel Jones. He can't run. Like, so I don't know. I just don't see. I don't see who's out there that, and I don't know what the quarterback class is looking like as far as, what's going to be available in the teens and the 20s, and maybe they fall in love with somebody, and that's a whole nother story type of deal. But outside of knowing who they love from the college game and what they really evaluate them as and where they think they can get them, I don't want to be trading we're not in a position to trade draft capital to move up in the draft to pick a quarterback, because we don't have any depth. So to me, it's like, they did pretty decent, I think, in the draft this year. They got a couple of guys that seem to be contributing. So do that again, run Daniel Jones back. He's obviously not the reason we're losing, and he may not be the reason we're winning, but I think he kind of is sometimes, but he's not really the reason we're losing. So I don't know. I think it's a run it back situation, and I hope that we can get him at a fairly cap friendly deal to go with it, and then you're in a really good spot if he pans out, because then you're getting him cheap and you're able to, I mean, we've seen quarterbacks I'd take Jimmy Garoppolo's NFC championship every other, like, I mean, I'd live with that, like, like, that'd be fun too. So I don't know.
I mean, I think we're in a similar situation with Heineke, and I talked to Will about this, where it's like, do we want to go after somebody else? But the last 2 years, he had the Fitzpatrick, and he gets hurt in the first quarter of the daggone game, and then obviously the whole situation with Carson Wentz, and it's just like, let's build, let's get the depth, let's go in the draft, and just keep building up the team, build up that defense, build up the O-line, and so that when we need to potentially go to get a quarterback or figure out what we have here, we can then do that. We don't have to worry. It won't be as much of a need to do it. It'd be because, okay, we're moving on. This is where we're going. But a lot of these quarterbacks now that are coming in, you still need somebody like a Daniel Jones, somebody like a starter that can stay in there and then to sit. I maybe see one quarterback that could maybe potentially come in and start day one, but he still needs the right system.
Right.
He still needs the right set. You just can't trust it. But going back to what you were saying about you said your first round or some of the draft picks. How are your draft picks doing? You had a couple first round guys. What do you think?
Yeah. We had 2 first rounders, Thibodeau, the edge guy, Kayvon Thibodeau out of Oregon, and Evan Neal, tackle from Alabama. They both missed a little bit of time for injuries. Thibodeau missed the start of the season, missed the first couple of games, but he seems to be coming on pretty strong. He statistically, if you looked at it, you wouldn't really think so. He's only got 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, and I think both on the same play, actually, to beat Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. But he had 5 quarterback hits last week against Dallas. Mm-hmm. So he's starting to kind of, when you watch the game, you're like, oh, there's 5. Oh, there's 5 again. And he kind of reminds me of your guy maybe coming back this week, Chase Young. He's similar body type, similar just freakish athlete that just kind of, I feel like you might feel the same way. Statistically, you feel like he should have a little bit more than he does, but I think he disrupts the game in more ways than you kind of realize, on the stat sheet type of deal. And Neal's been over at right tackle and started from day one until he's got like a knee issue. I guess he's potentially coming back on Sunday as well. But by all accounts, I'm not a big offensive line grader, but he seems to be, he doesn't have a lot of holding penalties. He hasn't been just like abused like some of these guys that have filled his place have been. And so he seems to be doing really well opposite Andrew Thomas, who's kind of coming into his own there at left tackle. So I feel like the foundation is good for those two guys, and I like Shane's draft picks there. And he's hit on a couple of mid-round guys too. He's got the 4th round pick with Daniel Bellinger as a tight end. Again, he had a really great start to the year. He had a freak injury down in Jacksonville. He got like poked in the eye, had fractured his eye socket. Like, never even like heard of that before. Supposedly he's practicing with a visor and like maybe he's going to be able to return by the end of the year. But I think that's like you got to really wait for that injury to kind of heal up. I don't think that's one you got to sort of play through type of deal. So I'm not sure we'll see him. And then there's a couple of secondary guys that have started to play a little bit more. Dane Belton's a safety from Iowa. He's been playing pretty much all season long, special teams too. And then we've had a lot of rookies play, but I think mostly some of them are because of injuries. So it just seems like Shane did a pretty good job. He's at the very least, these guys seem like depth pieces that will be a part of it. If maybe they're not studs, but they're playing and they're being, they're not a detriment to the team. So, so it's encouraging with the draft picks, and hopefully, he can hit again next year.
Well, it's kind of funny. It's like it's reciprocal. Where a couple of years ago, when the Redskins hired Rivera, we were at that Twin Peaks. And you're like, dang it, I like Ron Rivera, so I don't like you guys getting him. And I didn't know how to pronounce the guy's name. So Joe Shane is that Shane. Yeah. And it's like, that's who I wanted to be Washington's GM the year before. It's like, I want that Buffalo blueprint, and like you said, he made some moves this offseason. I don't know how much he's played, so you'll have to tell me, but I really liked the guard from the Colts that you guys picked up. Glowinski.
Glowinski, is that it's like that's his land. Yeah, he's been, I think he's had we've been just like hurt a lot. So he might have been in and out of the lineup, but the line has not really been doesn't seem to be the issue that we've been having up until that we've been having in the past. Really, everybody just keeps talking about receivers for us. And I guess I glossed over him, Wan'Dale Robinson. He was our 2nd round pick. He finally had his first breakout game and tears his ACL on the like he wasn't even in the field to play. Like he got like pushed out of bounds and just like awkwardly fell and hurt it. Like, one of those Odell Beckham turf issues that he'd always
Did it happen at MetLife Stadium?
It did happen at MetLife Stadium. So it's just like it's a disaster there. So good luck. Bring your knee braces this week. It apparently happens all the time. But to me, when I watch the games, it's like the offensive line holds up in pass protection, and we are doing a good job moving Jones out of the pocket. We run a ton of bootleg passes, and which allows him to kind of get off and run a little bit. And then we've, up until the last 2 weeks, we've run the football. So we've had, Barkley's having a decent year where we're able to move the line in the running game. So I don't really think it's the line, but it's like when you see them drop back to pass, if the receiver's in a one-on-one situation, they do not win ever. They don't win one-on-one battles. They're open because of scheme. They're not open because they're just better than the guy lining up on the other side of them. And that's, and we have 22 drops already on the season as a wide receiver. Like that's insane for 11 games to have legitimate, like, not like one-handed kind of like legitimate recorded statistical drops.
Yeah, right.
And that if you add those in to Jones's stats, then we might be talking about a completely different situation, because that's probably 30, 40 yards a game that he might be, because they're not all 5-yard passes that are drops. And some of them were, 25-yard dig routes that are, wide open, and he just doesn't catch the ball. So I don't know. I feel like the wide receiver core is what's really holding the offense back. But I don't know. Everybody seems to have wide receivers. We can't find one. So if you know any, call them up.
We were in that for so long. Drafting Josh Doxson and signing Terrell Pryor, and like that year in 2008 when we drafted 3 pass catchers in the 2nd round, and they were all out of the league by 2010. I know exactly how it feels.
Pains us.
But I think it's right, like you said, when it comes to Dable and Shane, where they had this talent, Kadarius Toney, and they're like, not working out, get out. Galladay, not working out, we're not playing you. It's like, I mean, you gotta give them hats off to them on that for recognizing that.
100%, and I think it sends a message to the rest of the group, right? Like it says nobody's like Kadarius Toney, undoubted talented. Like
No.
I'm like kind of I want to say happy he's got another hamstring injury, but I was pretty nervous he was going to break out with the Chiefs like that first day he could play, and I was like, here we go, and we're going to look like assholes because sorry if I can't cuss, we're gonna we're gonna look terrible because we just traded him away for a 3rd and a 6th round pick and gave up on him, but by all accounts he wasn't attacking his rehab the right way. Have you ever heard of a guy hurting his left hamstring when his right hamstring is hurt? No. Like, how do you hurt the other hamstring when you're rehabbing? Like you're not doing it the right way. So he wasn't doing the things that they asked him to do. And Galladay, I don't think is the same after his hip injury. I just don't think he has it anymore. More than anything else for me, I just don't think he's that good anymore. And so to show a guy making $20 million a year and say, sit your butt down, and then you're a 1st round draft pick of 1 year ago, boom, see you later. You don't do what this team is going to do going forward. I think in the long run, it's going to be a difference between what makes or breaks the staff. I mean, obviously it's at one point, if you don't now replace him with talent and win, then okay, it doesn't really matter either way. But I just think that kind of that's kind of how Dable. You see Dable screaming at people on the sidelines all the time, like
you
don't care. Like he's in your face and he's holding them accountable for what they're supposed to do on the field. And it's refreshing. And so I don't know. I hope he's handling it right, and hopefully we can get somebody in because we obviously could use a talent like Toney.
Right,
but he couldn't get on the field for countless reasons. So
no, I mean, it was year 2 and he wasn't making an impact. I do agree with Jared. Like when he was drafted, I was like, oh man, the Giants got this guy.
Right?
Oh, you're the only one. This is what you would have if you were with me this year or last year for the draft drill. You just saw me screaming at the television because I watched him too many times at Florida be the same guy, hurt,
really
showboating. He didn't fit. He didn't fit for me. But I've been wrong many a times too. So I was happy last year when he kind of showed out a little bit. I was like, oh, here he goes. But he's got a rapper young Joka name. Like he is
yep.
Football may not be his only passion.
His Instagram, the dude is crazy.
More about the image. It's the image.
Let me tell you, Sean. So we were watching the draft in 2018, and that's when Daniel Jones gets picked at 6 overall, and the Corey just goes, what?
Right.
And then the Redskins go pick up Dwayne Haskins at 15, and I'm like, and like
I was happy we didn't pick up Haskins. Like, I was so happy
out of there, like with our heads down, like man, I just don't feel good about this.
Yeah, it happens every year too. I was the same way when we picked OBJ and 1 pick in front of Zach Martin. I was like, I just wanted the guard. Like, just give me the guard. Like, that's all I wanted. Like, I don't want a big wide receiver. I want a guard. That's what I want when I draft.
Right. All right. So last question before we start getting into the upcoming game here is give us an update on some of our ex-Redskins. You've got Fabian Moreau, that's a starting corner. I'm like, holy crap, he's still in the league. And then Landon Collins re-signed with you, but I don't know. Has he played?
Landon's played. He played 2 weeks before the 2 weeks before our bye. He played like minimal snaps and has not been elevated off the practice squad since the bye. So I don't know, which is super interesting because McKinney rode his ATV too hard in Mexico and broke his, I don't know if you knew the story. He was on a guided ATV tour. Xavier Kinney, our supposedly defensive captain, like play caller, right? Green dot guy.
Oh no.
He's riding a ATV on a guided tour in Cabo and breaks his wrist during the bye week.
Right?
Now somebody called into the fan I was listening to, and again, I don't know, could be making jokes. We said, yeah, that guided tour makes 3 stops at different tequila bars along the way. So Lord knows if he was drunk, like if he just got. There's nothing ever. They did a really good job of protecting him, and nothing really came out about whether he was doing something dumb or like he was just a freak accident, like either like whatever the case may be. So he's like on the non-football injury list. Like he was gone for 4 weeks. So I think he might be eligible next week if he's healthy for Philly. I think would be his fourth. But so I figured, okay, well for sure now Collins gonna like, oh great, we got Landon Collins kind of on reserve to fill in. He hasn't been able to get off the practice squad, so don't know.
Y'all may be seeing what we saw, which I mean, well, one, he's not a
didn't want to
safety.
sign him in the first place back, when you signed him, we didn't want him. So
right, exactly. Like coaches may be seeing it. Although, like, I mean, yeah, it's like he's not a safety anymore. And he doesn't want to be a linebacker, but that is the position that he plays well in,
Right, he's a run stopper.
It's just he doesn't want to be that type of thing.
And
but
so
he made plays last year for us.
He's not going to play.
Exactly.
He's always been a little bit of a play. He's always kind of had his nose around the football. He always kind of made some big plays. But you're right. He was never really a safety. He was an eighth man in the box type of guy.
To me, it makes me wonder, what is he like in that locker room? If he's not wanting to do, if he wants to do certain things and coaches want him to do something else.
I read up a little on him today, actually, and he said, he's saying the right things as far as he's obviously disappointed he isn't playing, but he's happy to be like a guy in the locker room, giving help to the younger guys and all this sort of stuff. So he's saying the right things, at least being a professional about it. But yeah, I got to wonder, he must not be able to do what they need him to do in that position. Otherwise, he would be out there. I mean, we got like 3 rookies starting in the secondary. So like, because Fabian Moreau was having a very good, solid start to the year. He was opposite of Dory Jackson. They were playing real good pass defense, and now he's got some sort of oblique issue. I don't know. It went out in the Lions game, and he's, I guess, questionable this week. But I don't know if he practiced or not today. But so we're thin in the secondary. Dory Jackson's out knee, so we could get, if Moreau can come back, it would be a huge help for us. He's had a pretty good season, to be honest.
Gotcha. Yeah, he's been in the league a long time, and when we drafted him, he was one of those guys that they're like, well, he got hurt in college. He would have been a first round pick. So they got him to the third, but it took him forever to, we had him like 4 years, and he still wasn't making plays. So, I think it's his 7th or 8th year in the league. So, it's been so long since.
Yeah, he doesn't have any like big plays, any picks or anything, but he's in the right spot, does his job kind of guy. So
sure,
it's something you can rely on at least.
Absolutely. All right, Sean, you want to give your segment?
Let's do it. Let's go right into it. Hey, we know we're playing. It's the Washington Commanders playing the New York Giants. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a fan favorite segment called Keys to Victory. And Corey, as our guest, we're going to let you go first. What are some of your keys to a Giants win?
It's probably a key for every NFL team is you can't turn the football over this week. That's hurt us last week, trying to make 2 weeks ago against the Lions, it hurt us, and then last week too. So can't turn the football over, and we've got to find a way to run the ball. Last 2 weeks we have not been able to run it. I don't know if we've had a lot of offensive line injuries, supposedly getting some guys back, which I think could help. I don't know if it's just also schemed against us because they are forcing us to throw and basically challenging our wide receivers one-on-one. And saying beat our corners, and we haven't consistently done it. But so for me, no turnovers and be able to run the ball, be 2-dimensional on offense so that, we have a chance to hit some play action and that sort of stuff. But we don't score a lot of points, and defense has done a pretty good job of keeping us in games. But if we don't sustain any drives, then third, fourth quarter, we're tired and the ball game's over. So we got to be able to sustain some drives with the running game, whether that's Barkley or Daniel Jones. Last week, they started to run 2 running backs out there at the same time and use Barkley as kind of like a decoy, and we were able to get some runs because they kept keying on Barkley doing weird motions and nonsense like that. But take care of the football and get some sort of push on the offensive line.
Sounds good.
Well, what do you think, man?
I'll give my 2 keys, and then we can go around with like a player to watch in the game. So my 2 keys are going to be, running the running game on both sides. So for Washington, I was reading where the Giants give up about 2 to 3 yards even before they make contact. So the defensive line gets blown off the line of scrimmage. And then even after contact, they can give up an extra 2 to 3 yards. And we've got two running backs that run hard and that are tough to bring down. And so both Robinson and Gibson, if we keep feeding them the ball, I think they can wear down New York. Also to the point where that will set up play action. And the Giants secondary is vulnerable through play action. And that is something that Heineke, has a little bit more success with. And that's also the only way he can throw deep is if he has all the time in the world to wind up to do that. So I think establishing the run, as we've been doing the last couple of weeks, is going to be real important. And then I think we need to study the film of last week, because the Giants are very similar to Atlanta, and they want to run the ball, and then their quarterback is going to do read option. And Daniel Jones has killed not only other teams with that read option, but he has hurt us before, and he plays well against Washington. So they've got to look into, okay, what was Atlanta doing, and how can we change this up so that we don't let Daniel Jones do what Mariota does? Because Jones seems to get longer runs than Mariota did last week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, you guys hit the nail on the head. Honestly, turnovers are key. Definitely, we got to win the turnover battle. Honestly, contain that running game. My thing in keys, it's for both them and us. It's space. We need to be able to get Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson out in space, one-on-one situations, slip the tacklers, get extra yards that way. But in the same way, we need to make sure we do not get on an island with a Saquon Barkley, a Daniel Jones, any of them, where they can make one move and then all of a sudden they're going 20, 30 yards gashing us. We have been getting gashed left and right over the last couple of weeks, especially in the last game, and I mean in the beginning of the year. So that's something we got to do. We got to make sure we're continually playing, containing them on defense, and just trying not to get gashed, not get in space with those guys, man. Those guys it'll get ugly quick, So.
I don't think the only time we've ever slowed down Saquon Barkley has been when he's been recovering from his knee injury. Prior to the knee injury, he crushed us, and now that it seems he's back this year, like fully healthy,
100%.
It's like, I'm nervous about that too.
Yeah.
All right. So Corey, if there's one player out there that you're looking that will help the Giants win, who would you say that's going to be?
It's got to be Barkley. No doubt about it. If he can't he's got to have at least 100 all-purpose yards. If he doesn't, we have no chance. We're not going to throw the ball for 300 yards. I'm not even sure Jones has done it, but maybe once all season to hit 300-yard mark. It's Barkley's got to run it, and he's got to be able to run it. Doesn't have to we don't need chunk plays necessarily, but we've got to be able to get 3 or 4 yards of carry. We've got to be able to hit him on some swing passes. We've got to be able to just keep moving the chains, and we've got to be methodical. Otherwise we will never score enough points. So, and the defense will be out there too much. So for me, it's Barkley, 100-yard mark, got to have it. And then I think the defense will keep us in it. Martindale's defense makes some good, they confuse quarterbacks, that sort of stuff. So it's going to be like a, 21-17 type of game. I think, we don't like to play more than 20 too often. So, but Barkley, 100 yards, that's the key.
All right. I like it. I'm going to go with our defensive ends, Montez Sweat, Casey Toohill, and James Smith-Williams, which those last two guys is not like, why would I be picking backup defensive ends?
Chase, he not coming back?
I don't know if he will.
You don't think so?
Yeah, they said they might hold him.
He's close. I'm worried about that.
They got the bye week next week, so you almost wait, and then you just get 2 free weeks out of it. All right, I understand.
Exactly.
Well, that's good because we need to. We got to win here at home because you get 3 weeks to study the Giants. So I feel real bad about coming out
the
of
next
the
one.
Week. I feel real bad about that.
Second game's gonna be more entertaining. Maybe
we gotta have this one. Gotta have it.
That makes a lot of sense. And I need to see our defensive ends when I talk about what are they going to do about Daniel Jones. That first down and first and goal with Mariota, James Smith-Williams ignored the handoff and attacked Mariota, and he stuffed the play. And so it was he made the adjustment at the very end of the game to what was working for them against us. And so I just want to see kind of what they're doing. Are they able to not take the bait basically and always keep somebody on Jones for the quarterback keep?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Mine is similar to yours, Corey. It's Antonio Gibson. We already know Brian Robinson is, he's the number one. So, all eyes are going to be on him. We need to get Antonio Gibson out in space, but not only by rushing, but also by receiving, throwing quick flare passes, the screens and everything. But then also him as a kick returner has definitely changed the field position for us from what we had in Dax Milne before. We're going to need a couple, 30, 40-yard returns where we're starting right near the 50-yard line where we can then, even if we go 3 and out, we have Tress Way that can then attempt to pin you guys deep. So Antonio Gibson, you talked about Saquon having to have a 100-yard game, all purpose, similar with Antonio Gibson. He needs to be just little, even if it's just like 30 over here, 30 over here, 40 over here, just getting it where he's getting involved, because that his confidence goes up once he gets the ball more. And then we know everybody's focusing on Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson. Let's get Gibson out there and get him going. So that's where we stand. And you already alluded to it, Corey. The score predictions. You said 21-17. Will, what do you think, man?
Let me go last. I got something for you.
You got something? Okay.
Uh-huh.
I am going to go. I agree. It's going to be
21 Giants for just to be
21-16 Giants. Yeah.
Giants.
Okay, yeah. I have 24-21. I think we will score late after you get it to 21, and then we'll jump up right over you. But it's gonna come down to the last about 3 to 5 minutes of the game, and I think both of us will have an opportunity where one team will drive down and score a touchdown, and that's the game winner. And then the other team will drive down and score, and it's gonna be a typical divisional matchup. So I got 24-21. Washington gets the dub. What you think, Will?
All right. So I agree. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the teams are going to drive down, but then stall in the red zone. So I'm going 19-15. I'm saying the Giants win the game, and all bye week, Sean, you and me start talking about, do we need to be starting Carson Wentz? Because I think Taylor Heineke is going to, on that final drive, make a bad throw that's going to get everyone upset. And start saying, well, now wait a minute here, because Carson, I think, is going to be active this week as the backup. And I think it's going to drum up all this bye week talk. It's going to be like, what do we need to do at quarterback? So Giants are going to beat us. And I also say that because I picked us to lose against the Vikings and Eagles, and we played very well in both games. So I'm going with that juju.
However it works, man. However it works. That is true. Well, hey, Corey, man, we so appreciate you hopping on here.
You're awesome.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Despite your Giants fandom, you know what I mean.
Very good insight, though.
So are you from New York, or are you
from Connecticut? So
okay,
close enough.
Okay, my dad is from Brooklyn, and my older brothers and all my older cousins are from New York. I was born in North Carolina and moved up to Virginia, so I've always been a Redskins football team, Commanders fan. They've always been Giants fans. So when you guys had your run with Eli, they made sure not to let me forget.
Yeah, good.
It was painful. It was pain. We can't seem to beat you guys from time to time. So you know what? It's stressful. That sure was nice. All right, man. We are going to let you guys go, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you being here with us on Washington Football Weekly. We have the game coming up this week. Watch it. Get into what we got going down towards the season. Playoffs are right around the corner. Hey, and we didn't talk about this. Both of us right now are in the playoff picture.
Yeah, that's true. That's
something. I mean,
like that extra wild card spot. We'll take it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So
I will gladly join you in the playoffs. I will sign up for that right now. You can
right. I'm good with that.
One extra week of football is a ton of fun.
Exactly. Let's go. So, yeah, we are definitely looking for a December to remember. But, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and let you go. For your boy, Sean Spencer, my guy over here, Will Kramer, and our guest, Mr. Corey Stevens. We appreciate you being here with us, and we will see you next time. I'll take you out the right way, ladies and gentlemen.
Stand up, left hand up.